Hello everyone, and a very different type of video today, barring all the 40k stuff, because I can now talk to you about War for Westeros. So I was invited to play this game, and I've been supplied with some B-roll footage. This is very early on, so I can't show you my own footage. And before anything, yes, this is going to be quite early alpha that you're going to be seeing, I think is the term that they're using right now. But it's important to discuss because from what I've been able to play, it's pretty damn good. So this is an RTS game in a kind of similar style to that of Battle for Middle-earth 2, what I've been able to play through. I've had 2 maps and just 2 factions to play with. There's 4 starting factions for the launch of this title, and I've not been able to check out the campaign just yet, but I want to talk about my experience with the battles, how it felt, the construction, and just general combat. So a big thank you once again to the devs for allowing me to check out the title early. Let's talk as the B-roll plays. So, there are 4 confirmed factions. The Lannisters, the Starks, the Targaryens, and of course the Night King. I was only able to play around with the Starks and the Lannisters, which both are quite different in terms of style. The Lannisters have some better armor, some strong cavalry, and the rest, whereas the Starks have a decent amount of skirmish, varied factions too, because, you know, they can get dire wolves, but they can also get wildlings and giants. I don't know where the campaign is going to take us to, so I don't know at what part of the story we're in, but it does seem like they're going to be very different overall, and we have been able to see gameplay of dragons too, as Daenerys does have access to Drogon, it seems. And yes, before you ask, you do have access to playable legendary characters, so when you're playing as the Starks, for example, you've got access to Robb. You've also got access to Jon Snow and their respective direwolves. The 2 rosters seemed quite full, and of course you've got the general push of standard characters, standard units, and just building up into higher tiers like we're kind of used to in a lot of different games like Total War. But the gameplay style is more of that of Battle for Middle-earth. The map that I was mostly playing on is kind of small, very similar to that of like the Fords of Eisen. You start off with a central control point, so does your enemy, and then there's other different locations that you're going to have to take over if you wish to expand into those areas, building new resources, and also just, well, denying your enemy from getting those areas there too. You can expand from multiple areas, and you're going to have to make sure that you do keep your units protected. Even your builders can get killed off. I personally quite like the building system. It felt just like a traditional RTS game, which, let's be honest, it's been a while since we've had a proper RTS in quite some time. The combat, generally, you'll recruit a unit and it'll come with a certain amount of entities. And the general gist is traditional RTS, so cavalry beats archer, the archers beat the spearmen beat cavalry. It's everything that you're kind of used to. And that works out quite well because we want a traditional RTS. You know, we don't want to remake the wheel, right? Or break the wheel. I don't know what schizophrenic stuff Daenerys was going on to when she was still in Essos. You can build up walls if you like defenses, and it can be useful. I didn't personally build up a lot of walls myself. I don't think that the AI on the build that I was playing on was at its best, but I think that's usually just the usual case, right? The journalist build, so people from IGN and the rest can get a game in without going, oh my god, this is too difficult, I played for 20 minutes. Building was in a grid focus, right? So it's not like you can just place anything anywhere. You technically can, but it's built up on squares, which makes it easier for you to manage if you like certain buildings together just to maximize space for certain things, right? Like if you want to have all your defensive buildings at the front, you can, and you can have it without blocking your troops and having them just get stuck in between. See Tywin here? I don't think the build that I was playing with had Tywin, or maybe I just wasn't paying attention. I do know that Jaime Lannister was there, and he does do a decent amount of damage. Overall, I would say, like, combat-wise, from what I've been able to see, very strong Battle for Middle-earth 2 vibes, which is great. I kind of like that format. It's a shame that we really haven't seen a lot of games in that style for a fair amount of time. I'd like to see more, and I'm really curious about the campaign, because we've got a little bit of information, but not that much, and I'd rather keep this to what I've played, and then we can talk about any news blogs that are coming out, because obviously these developers are currently in Gamescom. The Stark army being a bit of a mix of Stark Bannermen, and then obviously the Wildlings is a bit strange, but I guess we're going to be going into that whole point of, you know, the Jon Snow bringing in the Free Folk, bringing them all together, united armies, all the usual stuff. Yeah, I mean, it's not that bad, and it's kind of cool to see mammoths, though, and giants and the rest. There is a lot of big entities when it comes to that, and just in general, like the armor looks good. I'm not sure if this B-roll is going to be showcasing the troops up close, but it does look really decent, especially when you see some wildfire throw out. Now, taking control of the other areas is pretty simple. There's a central tower, well, not really central, it's usually in a point of the map. It can vary, and you just have to kind of hold it for a while. Then, after you've taken it, you can start building in those areas. Now, you can lose those areas. They can snipe it away from you, but your buildings won't be destroyed. So you can keep focusing on trying to retain that or go for a different position. I had a few fun games versus the AI where it was just basically kind of back and forth with one location. So it seems like the AI knew what it was doing, which is always good, because when it comes to games like this, you're never really too sure. I really hope at one point I can get to the point of actually showing gameplay directly, because there's a lot of stuff I could actually see myself making videos for. I must admit there were some issues with some pathfinding stuff, but I don't think it was like major, and a lot of stuff has been reported, so I do imagine that by the time that this game gets out, or at least a little bit closer to release, things will be better. This is what happens when you deal with a very early build. Just like, for example, I had a few visual errors whilst I was posting some Total War 40k content just today. Game development is a slow process, and obviously they're trying to get everything showcased first to just get a little bit of hype up, show stuff that needs to be shown, and then kind of expand from there whilst actively working on the title. I can't wait to see the campaign. If the campaign is anything like Battle for Middle-earth in terms of style, I'm totally in. It's just an educated guess speculation, which I don't want to keep onto this in this video because it doesn't feel like it's fair. I'm going with all the information that I have so far. But if it is that, I feel like it's going to be a really cool thing. I would like to see more armies. I would like to see, just if there's potential for the future, which probably the devs are kind of like mapping that out. A lot of devs, whilst they're working on a game, will start to more or less think about potential future content. Because it would be cool just to get, Iron Islanders, proper Reaver types, some elite cavalry with the Eerie. Hell, you never know. Stuff could change and they could look into Essos a little bit, right? We're going to have to wait and see. But I like the idea of a Game of Thrones, a Song of Ice and Fire RTS game. I think that's going to be quite a need. A lot of other Game of Thrones, a Song of Ice and Fire type of games have come out, right? RPGs which weren't really good, and the Telltale one wasn't too bad when you play as House Forrester, in all honesty. But the need here was for something like this. This is a universe where wars seem to happen basically left, right, and center because someone got married to someone else or whatever. And it's a pretty good setting to explore upon. Yeah, I'm curious to see how this goes. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. We'll start a bit of a discussion. I will want to keep a close eye on this title, I think. At least until I can see the campaign. That's, I think, going to help me decide a lot more. But I want to see campaign. It would have helped, I think, for a lot of people if their marketing was a little bit better in terms of just like unit showcases rather than those like 2-second GIFs. It wasn't really great. This is a lot better, that's for sure. Have a good one, guys, and I'll see you all again very, very soon. Bye!